Hi guys, welcome to another video. As the title suggests, today we're going to look at something that quite a few of you have asked me about in the past and want a few details on, and that is what I keep in here. It's my drone. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that I've only recently started using a drone, perhaps the last 6 months or so, something like that. The reason being that I wanted to add another dimension to the videos, get some different angles, different shots. You'll know that my videos are shot very vlog style, and I wanted to add another dimension to it and be able to capture some of the wonderful landscape that I do a lot of my filming and fishing in. The obvious thing was a drone. Now, what I didn't want to do was detract too much from the fishing, because obviously the fishing is the whole point of the vlogs. They're fishing sessions, so I didn't want to detract too much from that. So I needed something that was very easy to use, very small, that I could carry around everywhere with me. And as you can see, the drone and the controller fit in there. Now this, I'll get it out and show you just what I mean. Now the drone is very small, as you can see. This is a DJI Mini 2, and that's it folded up and in the case. And with that, when you buy it, you also get obviously a remote control, and you need to use your phone with this, which I'll show you in a minute. But that's it. It all fits nicely into this small case here, which I can chuck in my fishing bag, take around with me. I take it on pretty much every session. There's the odd example when I can't fly it. We'll touch on that in a minute, through legal or weather conditions. But most of the time I can get it up into the air, get some lovely footage. If I just unpack this for you, you'll see exactly what it is. Just got a little case in here. Now, as you can see from this, I've just got the drone and the controller. Now, you can actually buy a Fly More package with this. Costs about another 150 quid. You get 3 batteries rather than just the one that's in here. You also get a carry bag, and you also get a charger for the batteries, but not really any use for me. I'll get 30 minutes fly time out of this. That's maximum. Realistically, more like about 20 minutes until it starts shouting and telling you it wants to come home. But again, we'll touch on that in a minute. But it's a wonderful bit of kit, as you can see, very, very small. Camera on the front there, on the gimbal, is 4K. Now, how you sort of undo this is you pull the front propellers around first, and then fold out the back ones, and there you have it. That's the drone. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I didn't know until I looked into this a little bit, you need to take a test. You need to jump through various hoops in the UK to be able to fly a drone above 250 grams. Well, fortunately, this one is 249 grams. So basically, you go out, buy it, fly it. That's the situation. Now, it runs off a micro SD card, as you can see in the back there. And that's where I also charge it up from, in there. All right, if I just grab the remote control, just to quickly show you how this works. I mean, obviously it's fairly straightforward. You've got the 2 little joysticks that tuck in the bottom there. They just tuck away in the bottom there. Pull them out, screw them into the controller before you use it. Like so. Grab your phone. It's just simply a case of pulling up this top bit here, pulling out the plug, and get the right one. There we go. Fixing your phone in, like so. And what you need is an app called, get this right, DJI Fly. I'm going to open that app up, and your phone obviously talks to the remote control through this. I know I'm not being very techie about this. I'm not a very techie person at all, which is why I wanted something simple to fly, and this is exactly what I need. So, we turn that on. Short push, long push. Turn the drone on. The drone starts to sort itself out. As you can see, it makes a little noise. The DJI app is now sorting itself out on my phone. I've got a picture of what the drone can see. Gives me a amount of flight time left. It also is now, at the moment, I'm just leaving it because it's picking up some satellites. It's got GPS built in, so it knows exactly where it is. The advantage of the GPS is what it's doing now is working out where in the world it is. And what will happen is, if I fly it off and it starts to run out of battery, oh, there you go.
Please check it on the map.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map. So now it knows where it is in the world. So it knows it's here. So what it's done is GPS this particular place here. So now it knows, because I've set this up. You can set it up in various ways. Obviously, I'm not going to go into massive detail. There's lots of people who are much better at this on the internet, go into big detail about exactly how you can set this up. But I've got this set up that if it loses signal or if the battery gets low, it will come back here. That's how I've set this up. So obviously, if there's any sort of problem, if it goes out of range, as I say, if the battery gets low, when it gets down to about 20%, I think it is, it returns home automatically. So there's various laws in the UK as to flying drones, various rules. The Civil Aviation Authority put out some rules. I'll stick a link to their website down there. It's fairly common sense stuff, really. But with a 250 gram or sub 250 gram drone like this, the situation basically is 120 meters maximum flight height, and you must be able to see the drone easily at all times. So you can't fly it out of view. You can't fly it, 2 miles up that way, which in theory I could. You've got to keep it in sight at all times. Those are basically the two rules of flying a drone. There's various other rules about people's privacy, obviously not flying over people's back gardens and things, respecting people's privacy. But, and obviously not flying near airports, stuff like that. But as I say, if you want to go into this in more detail than that, there'll be a link down below in the description. But as you know, if you've seen the videos, I get this just to get some nice pictures when I'm perhaps on the Wye or on the Avon like I am here, up on the tributaries, get some nice overhead shots and some shots of me fishing. Now, I have been asked on a few occasions who I have there flying the drone when I'm fishing. And the answer is no one. It's me. Because this thing's so clever, it's got GPS, it knows how high it is, it's got a couple of sensors underneath, it knows exactly where it is in space. What happens is, if I take my hands off this controller when we've got it up, it will stay exactly where it is. Which means I can put it up. As I say, I get about 20 minutes runtime before it starts shouting at me. I can put it up and I can fish. And I don't have to worry about it, it just stays exactly where I put it. Now, as I mentioned, it's got some downward sensors on it, but they are only downward. It can sense the ground, but it doesn't sense anything else. You'll quite easily fly it into a tree, fly it into, sideways into a house, into a telegraph pole. You've got to be careful what you're doing. You've got to be aware. But part of the rule, obviously the law in this country, is that you've got to be able to see it anyway. So you need to keep your wits about you, really. So, but a lot of the time with me, I'll get it up in the air, get a few scenic shots, and then I'll film myself fishing until it starts shouting and comes back home. That's the use I get out of it, really. And if we're very lucky, I'll catch a fish while it's up in the air. But it sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. Now, charging this up takes 2 or 3 hours, something like that. However, I have got some Romos power banks, which I carry about with me obviously for the camera, for filming when I do long days. And that's got fast charge on it, and it will charge up in around about an hour on that. So if I'm perhaps out for the day, I can get 3 or 4 charges out of it and 3 or 4 flights out of it, which sometimes I do longer days on the Wye, and we'll get the drone up several times during the day. Anyway, it's probably enough waffle, isn't it? So we get this thing in the air, and I'll show you exactly what it can do. You can have a look at it and through the drone camera at exactly what's going on. So I don't carry around with me any landing and take off mats. I'll just find a nice flat area and actually take it off from the box. Hopefully you can see that over there. Very easy and foolproof this, fortunately, because I'm the person who's using it. We'll start that recording before we do anything. It's just very simply a case of pushing the takeoff button, pushing and holding that on screen. That will take off to 1.2 meters and stay there. Now I'm sure straight away you can hear the first problem with the drone is the noise. You need to get this a fair distance away so that you don't hear that noise. Now the drone itself doesn't record any sound, but obviously if I've got that up and it's fairly near me, you can hear it, and it's fairly obnoxious sort of angry wasp sound. But it's very easy to control, up, down, left and right, forward and backwards. That's pretty much as difficult as it is, which is a good job really, as I say, for me. But it's just a case of left stick up and down, and you can see as soon as I take my hands off, you see it up there, as soon as I take my hands off, it stays in exactly the same place as we put it. Jiggles about a little bit, but the gimbal on the camera takes out that movement. So if we push this out, cross the river a little bit, we'll get up a bit. We have got some trees above us here, so you can see it's up there. We can back it off, take it up in the air. Now we're probably middle of the river there. As you see, this is how I often use it. I'm stood here, take my fingers off, and it will stay exactly where I want it, up there. It's perfect for me. It's exactly what I want. I can stand here, do a bit of fishing with that up there filming me. Now, as I say, we can go up to 120 meters. So I'll take you up. We go and have a look on the drone. We go up. I'll give you a sort of idea of what 120 meters looks like up there. We get a height reading on here as well, 57 meters at the moment. As you can see, once we get up there, 50, 60 meters, there's very little sound. I can still hear it a little bit, but there's very little sound. But there we go, that's half the height we can take it to. You get some glorious views, as you can see, of a rather brown river at the moment. Absolutely wonderful views. And once again, without wishing to labour a point, take my fingers off. It stays exactly where I've put it. You can see it up there, just about. We're approaching maximum height now.
Maximum flight
There we go.
altitude reached.
I've set the maximum height to 120, and that, as you can see, is what we can see there. There's a light aircraft coming over, so I hope he's not too low. We'll have a little look around. As you can see, we do some panning shots. The local farm. And a look downstream there. Now I can move the camera up and down with a roller button here, all the way down. Have a look vertically downwards. It's an absolutely fantastic bit of kit for the money. I can see it up there. Let's bring it back down. Now, what I've learnt to do with this, because as I say, I don't carry a mat around for landing on is I've learned to land this to hand. We've got a couple of sensors at the back, as I mentioned, which do sense exactly where the ground is. So if I put my hand underneath the sensors, it will go up to try and avoid crashing into the ground. So if we avoid the sensors, just grab hold of the front of it, pull the stick down, the downward stick down and hold it. There we go. Easy as that. That is this wonderful bit of technology, the DJI Mini 2. Now, I said I'd touch on when I tend not to fly this. Now, the only 2 times really I wouldn't fly it is if I am invading someone's privacy. Perhaps there's houses near the river, which, you know, you might be looking in the window of, or into people's back gardens perhaps. I wouldn't fly it on those occasions, not going to be invading anyone's privacy at all. Now, the other factor that would stop me flying this is weather conditions. Now, it's not waterproof, so I wouldn't fly it in the rain. I wouldn't fly it when it's snowing. I've not read anything to tell me I can't, but I'm sure that wouldn't be a very good idea at all. Besides anything else, the lens is going to get covered in snow and water, and you're not going to get any good pictures anyway. But I'm sure water ingress in this would cause it to malfunction. I'm sure it would. Now, the other major factor, and something which we've been having a lot of recently when I've been doing my vlogs and I've not been able to fly this, is wind. This will cope quite admirably with winds up to 23 miles an hour, which is a decent wind. After that, it's going to struggle and it's going to end up going downwind. And if you're fishing, obviously on a river like I do, and it goes over the other side, you're in trouble. It's perhaps blown that way. So I don't tend to fly this when it's windy, anything above about 15 miles an hour wind, 20, gusts of 20 perhaps at a push, because I like my bit of kit and I do want to keep it. But those are really the only times I wouldn't fly this. And as you've seen from the videos, it gets some fantastic shots. I mean, I could go into real depth in this. It's got some wonderful functions. It can take photos for a start, as well as obviously the videos I use. You can get some lovely photos with it. Also, it's got some functions whereby it'll fly itself. I did a few of these actually recently. I'll stick some up for you to have a look at. It's got a rocket where it'll go straight up and film down. It's got a droney, which is sort of backward shot. It's got a boomerang where it will fly out and come back in. It does a spiral as well, where it will start close in and it will fly further and further out. I mean, obviously, you've got to be a bit careful of your surroundings. I wouldn't be doing that here. We've got trees and all sorts here. And this thing, as I say, it's dumb in the respect of it hasn't got any sensors apart from those two underneath. So you set this off. If I set this off to do a spiral here, it'll fly straight into those trees, and that'll be that. You do get some spare propeller blades with it, which I've not had to fit yet. Now, as I say, I've only touched on this really. If you want to look into it in a bit more depth, people show you exactly how to use this. There's many more techie people on the internet that can show you, but I do get asked about this quite a lot, so I thought I'd make a quick video for you just to show you exactly how I use it, the fact that I do it myself. I don't have people flying it for me. It's just a case of getting that up, getting some lovely shots for the videos, and then filming myself fishing. It shouts at me, it comes home, I charge it up, send it back up again if we have time. So that's it, DJI Mini 2. I hope that's answered your questions about it. As I say, I've been asked a few times about it, and just wanted to make a video, show you exactly what I use. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that was informative. Tight lines when you get out on the bank. Many thanks to the channel patrons for your wonderful support, and I'll see you all again on the bank very soon.